All right, you guys ready? I'd like to bring the March 14th, 2012 Planning and Zoning meeting to order. Would everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sherwood?
Here.
Commissioner Morabito?
Here.
Commissioner Zarmi?
Here.
Commissioner Coletta?
Here.
Commissioner Simons? Commissioner Keller? Commissioner Posinel? Chairman Fluchet?
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Just a couple announcements. Anyone who has not yet signed in, please do so at the table in the lobby. Anyone who wishes to speak, please complete the request to speak form, which is also located in the lobby. Next to the sign-up sheet, a request to speak form must be completed for each item you wish to speak on, including sub-items. Please note that there are stairs on the right, left, and center aisles, and we ask that you use caution when using these stairs. There is also a ramp located in the audience's left. If anyone has written comments, exhibits, petitions, photos, or letters they intend to present at today's meeting, please have 17 copies. Give them to the staff member in the back of the auditorium. And she's got her arm up there. And if you do not have 17 copies, you may use the table with the overhead camera next to the podium to present your document. If you want your documents to go on record, you must hand them to the clerk after your presentation with the agenda item clearly marked on the document. Members of the public cannot talk to the staff members in the front as they have microphones during the meeting. If you have any questions, please see the staff member located in the back of the auditorium who can meet you in the lobby. Staff members, please raise your hands in the front. A timer will be activated for all speakers and will be limited to 2 minutes to make your presentations and statements. Everyone, please turn off your cell phones, pagers, place them on vibrate. If you must receive a phone call, please leave the meeting room area and go out to the lobby for your conversation. We ask that the audience refrain from talking with anyone during the presentations and discussion. Today's Planning and Zoning Commission will hear public testimony and then forward a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. The items with the recommendations made by the Commission will be heard by the Board of Supervisors on Monday, April 2nd at 9:30 a.m. in the same location, with the exception of any continued items. Everyone attending the meeting is asked to remember that the administrative building and campus are tobacco-free areas, which means no smoking is allowed curb to curb. Also, only bottled water is allowed in the auditorium. No food, soda, coffee, etc. is allowed. Today, item number 6 on the agenda will be continued till April 11th Planning and Zoning meeting. If the meeting is still in session, the Commission will break at 1 p.m. for lunch. Approval of last month's minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review that? Any questions or comments or changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second for the minutes. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
make a motion to pull item 1.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to pull the consent agenda item number 1. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item number 1.
Item 1 is an evaluation of a request for an extension of time for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 402-32170 from RM4A multiple residential 4-acre minimum lot size to C1 20M neighborhood commercial 20,000 square foot minimum lot size in the scenic vicinity. This is a third extension request, or request for a third extension, and staff is limited by the extension policy. So there are two options given in your staff recommendation. One is an option if the commission recommends approval. The second is an option if they do not. And I believe there is a representative here to answer your questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant present for item number 1? Would you like to address the commission?
My name is Patty Wynn. I'm property manager for Stryton Property Leasing. We've been hindered up there because of improvements, accessibility that ADOT has been planning. We've been put on their 5-year construction list now for 12 years, and we're excited now because finally they are proceeding with this project. They're planning on starting construction at the end of the year. Hopefully they'll stay on schedule. It'll take approximately 12 to 18 months for them to do that. During that time, they've given us schedules. Only local traffic will be allowed off that. They're actually making a two-way so that there's accessibility. Right now, there's just a single-lane tunnel that accesses that property. So that's what has been holding us up for such a long time, and we're just thrilled that ADOT's finally put us on that list.
Mr. Sherwin?
Yes, I noticed in a couple of, on the option that staff recommended that it's, the extension of time would be till May of 2012, but if ADOT's not even going to be completed until, or start until the fall, is that really going to be enough time?
No, that's not. And actually, that's, you know, their schedule that they've provided for us says that the construction is supposed to start at the end of 2012.
Correct.
So when that starts, then they've got 12 to 18 months for their construction period, which again is going to, you know, accessibility to that property is going to be very limited. For part of the time, only locals will be able to come in there. So that's been one of the biggest things. We did, you know, we did meet that first criteria. They wanted an obscuring wall, which, you know, we spent $35,000 doing that. And again, we've just been waiting and waiting and waiting on ADOT.
So really the extension of time should probably be more like 2014.
Exactly. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I haven't visited the site, so I'm not familiar with it. I just look at the GIS picture that we see. What business, what's going on there? Could you explain to us how many buildings?
Right now, there's an existing building there. It's an old town hall building, and that was used many years ago for that. And so our plan is, we've got a development plan for there, and an RV park where that particular piece of property would be used as the meeting house, the clubhouse for the RV park. And so it would be, it's a remodel of that existing building that's on the site there, and that's been the whole plan. But again, it's very difficult. I mean, you can't get RVs in there right now because of the accessibility. So.
Thank you. I have a question for John also. John, on your options that you have, option 1 and 2, what was the reason behind these options? I mean, you know, understanding that ADOT takes forever to, you know, go ahead with the project, please.
Commissioner Azarmi, Mr. Chairman, basically, the way the extension of time policy is written, it talks about extensions in 1-year increments, which is why the 1-year increment is what was in that option. The second one is if the commission determined that an extension was not appropriate, then you have something you could use for that. I guess if the commission wants to recommend a different period, you're not bound by the same policy that the department is. Now, one of the issues here that is not really addressed, the applicant's representative has covered the physical constraints on the property. There is a need for a site plan on this, and I'm not sure what the reason is that the site plan couldn't be done. And I might ask the division manager if she has any input on this as well. Thank you.
I got a question for the applicant, just a second. So you guys haven't even done a site plan on this yet?
No, we've started on site plans, and because of the length of time it's taken for accessibility to the project, our engineer, I mean, things have changed in 12 years. I mean, you know, requirements that,
Let's back up to the last year or two. So things haven't changed that much in the last year or two with ADOT and what you're doing, what your plans are. I understand what you were going to do 12 years ago may be different, but today is today. So.
right, right. But even with I mean, as far as the site plan for the clubhouse for the RV park, that. You're right, it hasn't, but I mean, as far as what they're what they would allow for the RV park, that has changed. I mean, the septic requirements and all of that has changed. So, and that may affect, what we've got planned on that also on our clubhouse.
Chris, you had a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I believe the question was asked, why the options? As Mr. Montgomery pointed out, the county's extension of time policy, which was adopted by the Board of Supervisors, limits what staff can recommend in a situation like this. However, we also noted that the applicant had made some progress over the years and was hampered by another state agency. So although we couldn't recommend approval, we wanted to make sure that the commission understood they have the option of moving in a different direction.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Chris, are you in communication with the ADOT? Have you received any information from ADOT?
We have received some information from them, not in regards to this project, but just generally we receive information of projects around the state. And the speaker is correct. This expansion is, this is kind of something we've always called in front of the commission, always referred to as the farm implement tunnel. And yes, it's construction and widening that to a 2 true lane underpass is imminent.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments, or if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I concur with Commissioner Sherwood. Dealing with ADOT takes, first-hand information I have takes forever. So I concur with, I believe it was the pre-motion of the 2014, kind of like, so.
So do we want to also include in there that we get a site plan within a relatively period of time? I mean, no, I'm not saying 2 years, I'm talking.
Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that they don't want to spend any money at this time because they already spent $35,000 until this bypass goes in. So because of I assume that's the case, but,
Okay. All right. Motion, I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to accept staff recommendation option 1 with the option to, an item 2, to extend the time to 2014 with any other possible modifications that the commissioners feel.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion on item number 1. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 2.
Yes, item 2, an evaluation of requests to approve the manufactured home park plan as revised for petitions of exception for the Canyon View Manufactured Home Park. Assessors parcel number 402-35-058, lying along the northerly edge of County Highway 91 in Littlefield vicinity, Mohave County, Arizona. The Canyon View, or the mobile home park, was approved in 1997, has undergone a few changes over the years. According to our regulations, any change to the mobile home park plan has to be brought back to the commission and the board for reevaluation and approval. The amendment here is looking to modify a few of the lot spaces to allow for mobile homes that were placed astride of the lease space. We've actually reduced one lot space out of the park and expanded a few others around lot 70. Also, we have 3 petitions of exception allowing for a 10 by 12 size storage shed on these spaces. And also, some of the setbacks are a little bit less than the required for at the front space to the front yard and also at side to side. The staff recommends approval of the proposed manufactured home park plan and petitions of exception, subject to the following items as outlined in the staff recommendation. Thank you.
Kevin, what are we changing the setbacks to on the sides?
Well, looking at the side yards setbacks, the separations of 2 of the spaces, I think it's 71 and 72, are actually about 16 feet instead of 22 feet. The minimum is 20 feet, and they've extended a porch out about 6 feet, so the separation of the building structure is now 16 feet. But we're still at least 5 feet away from the property line or from the lease space line.
Okay.
And the front has a little bit less than 10 feet, but it's all very, very close.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? Item number 2. Any discussion of the commission?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Kevin, space number 72, what is encroaching into the setback is just the covered carports, right?
We have a covered carport in the front, correct.
I mean, the building is respected.
Yeah, Mr. Zarmini, what happens here is once you attach a structure
I
to
understand.
a mobile home, it becomes part of the setback.
Okay.
So we have to actually add that into our petition of exception.
But livable space is not in the setback, it's just a carport there.
The carport, correct, is not habitable, but is within the front yard
Still
setback.
extends it out.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for a staff recommendation.
I'll second. We have a motion and second on item number 2. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 3.
Item 3 is an evaluation of a request to grant an extension to determine compliance with the schedule of development or rescind BOS Resolution Number 2008-371 and amended BOS Resolution 2009-341, which approved the rezone and amendment to a rezone of Assessor's Parcel 402-63277 and 402-63278, and to cause the property to revert from R1 20M, single-family residential, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size, to its former zoning classification of AR, agricultural residential, 1 acre minimum lot size, for failure to meet conditions of approval in the scenic vicinity. This is a sort of a housekeeping item that clears the way for the following item on today's agenda. Staff recommends that BOS Resolution 2008-371 and 2009-341 be rescinded and zoning revert from R120M to AR. Thank you.
Thank you. So the county's the applicant on this?
Correct.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for a staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second for item number 3. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item number 4.
Item 4 is an evaluation of a request for rezone of Assessor's Parcel Number 402-63278 from AR, agricultural residential, 1 acre minimum lot size, to R120M, single-family residential, 20,000 square foot minimum lot size, to bring the parcel into compliance with zoning in the Beaver Dam vicinity. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rezone as indicated in the staff report. This is one of the 2 lots that make up the parcel that was in the previous item to now bring it into compliance with it's under new ownership. There's staff has also received an application for the other parcel that will be on the commission's agenda next month to finish up cleaning this item up. And a surveyor has been working on the property, as I understand. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is the applicant present for item number 4? Okay, any questions or comments of the commission?
Just a quick question,
Yes.
Chairman. Is that's an orchard there, right? What kind of orchard is that?
Commissioner Sherwood, Mr. Chairman, I do not know. I haven't personally been there, so.
It's not important.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I believe it is a nut orchard.
Oh,
And not.
So we'd fit
I'm not
right
sure
in
what kind of nut.
when you feel like a nut. Okay, I'll entertain a motion on item number 4.
Looks good from GIS map.
I'll make a motion to accept staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on item number 4. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Item number 5.
Yes, item 5A, an evaluation of request for an amendment to P&ZC Resolution Number 86-171, setting forth a first revised recreational vehicle park for, like I said, so parcel 120. I'm sorry, my eyes are going off here. For the DJ Recreational Vehicle Park as an assessor parcel 12005-042, I believe it is, lying along the westerly side of Highway 95 in the Desert Hills area of Mohave County, Arizona. What we have here in 1986, the application for an RV park for the DJ's RV park had a request for a block wall along the west side. The 5-foot-high block wall would actually reside down in a drainage channel that the county has built since that time. I have some photographs here in the presentation which show that the neighboring parcels to the west, there's a slight berm between their properties and the end of that RV park. And if Wendy could proceed a little bit here and show some of the photographs. The next slide actually would show that from the view looking eastbound from the neighboring cul-de-sac. Several of the RVs are obscured about 4 to 5 feet in height with that berm. So the question of putting a 5-foot-high block wall down on the wash probably would be not have any efficacy at this point. So what staff recommends is that item number 9, or condition number 9 of the staff recommendation to remove this from P&Z Resolution 6-171. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John, or Kevin. Is the applicant present for item 5A? Would you like to address the commission or wait for questions? Okay. We have no speakers on the item. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Just one comment. I was struck by the fact that it took about 25 years to figure this out.
Sometimes progress is slow. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to approve item 5A and a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 5B.
Yes, item 5B, an evaluation and request to approve recreational vehicle park plan as revised and petitions of exception for the DJ's recreational vehicle park, assessor parcels 120-05-042, lying west of US Highway 95 in Desert Hills area, Mohave County, Arizona. What we have here again is a 25-year-old RV park, which has gone some changes over the years. We're looking at petitions of exception to allow for accessory structures to be located on the pads. Also looking at mobile homes inside the RV park, setbacks for the accessory structures and the RVs within that park, and also some of the dimensions of a few of the RV spaces are a little bit undersized. Again, we have about 8 petitions of exception in this recommendation. Staff recommends approval of the proposed revision to the RV park plans and petitions of exceptions as noted in the conditions outlined herein. Thank you.
The applicant is present. We have no speakers on the item.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Kevin? Basically, what we're trying to do is to correct, the zoning or approval, basically, and based on what has been there for quite some time. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, we're looking at a plan that has grown in 25 years,
Right.
and that is correct. We're trying to bring this park up to the current use, which was not envisioned back in 1987.
All right, thank you.
Any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to approve item 5B. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 6. Number 6 has been continued. 7.
Item 7 is an evaluation of a request for a zoning use permit on a portion of assessor's parcel number 102-16078 for a wireless communication facility with a 250-foot tower in an AR 36A agricultural residential 36-acre minimum lot size zone in the Burrow Creek vicinity. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning use permit as indicated in the staff report. This particular tower is on a large parcel of ground. It's near the 2 high voltage transmission lines that pass down through that area. We did go to the Board of Adjustment, which approved a variance to allow the increased tower height. With that, staff recommends approval, and if you have any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Is the applicant present for item number 7? Any questions we have one speaker, Jim Canellis.
Good morning. My name is Jim Canellis. I live in the central Sacramento Valley. I'm not against cell phone towers or wireless communication. My concern, though, is if this tower will be a multi-use tower. Burrow Creek's a very scenic area. I wouldn't hate to see a cluster of these towers there just because that's the particular spot where they need to be put. If it was a multi-use tower that other entities could be utilizing, I think that should be a concern of this commission. At one time, that used to be part of the general plan. I think it was pulled, and it's not in the general plan at this moment, and I think it should be. That's my biggest concern, that we're going to end up with clusters of these communication towers in areas that would devastate our scenic and best areas for that. Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the staff. My understanding from the previous applications we had was that these towers, they have to be strategically located in a certain corridor, and the height and all that, it would be indicated. And also, it would be used for providing coverage for the emergency, situation and all that. Is that your understanding?
Commissioner Azarmi, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if I follow exactly what you're saying, but the write-up that came with this did indicate that they intended to have this as a co-location type facility, so multiple carriers could locate on it.
Correct.
Was part of the reason for the increased height. The other issue is that because of the topography out there, the hills and one thing or another, getting the line of sight that's required for the towers to communicate with each other, this was this and the item after it were the best sites that they could locate for that communication. This does fill a coverage gap between Wickiup and over the county line. I think the next tower is over around Baghdad somewhere, but these two towers should complete the communication gap along Highway 93. Did I miss something? Or
No. Just I want to make sure that I conclude that, this is going to improve the quality of, those people who are going to be traveling in that corridor. And this is not something that they just can place this tower in any parcel. It has to be in a certain, strategic location to be able to cover that. That was my conclusion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And to answer the speaker's question, although the issue may not be in the general plan, the Section 27U in the zoning ordinance on communication towers does indicate it's policy of the section to encourage co-location and to minimize the number of towers in the county.
Thank you.
So AKA multiple users on the same tower.
Correct.
Okay. I thought that's what we did.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
While that is true, is it worth stating in here that that should be part of the provisions?
If it's the commission's wish, we could add a condition that deals with the co-location as a requirement.
Mr. Chairman, the applicant's not here, is that correct?
The applicant is not here.
I'm reluctant to do that without the applicant being here to speak for that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
It seems like, if you do that, we are dictating to, applicant, how to do and what to do, because they know, and they're professionals, they're T-Mobile, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, if they can open up that horizon to other things, they're gonna recover more, monetary refunds. So my suggestion is, to go along, because it would improve the quality of, the corridor. And I'm sure those of us who travel between
That's a
here
good
and
point.
Phoenix, you'll see that.
Yeah.
So.
And also, we had a similar problem over there at the Arizona-California border on 40, where somebody ended up withdrawing because there was going to be 3 within like a half a mile, and that wasn't going to fly.
Correct.
So I think these guys understand that. Any additional questions or comments? Yes, John.
Mr. Chairman, I might also add that if we were to get an additional request for a tower in this vicinity, that next one coming in would have to deal with this co-location provision in the ordinance and show that, why they could not locate on these towers.
Yeah. And because it costs too much is not an issue, is it?
No.
I didn't
Not gonna
think so.
happen.
Okay, I figured we went through this before. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to approve item number 7. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8.
Item 8 is an evaluation of request for a zoning use permit on a portion of Assessor's Parcel 102-75001 for a wireless communication facility with a 250-foot tower in an AR, agricultural residential 1 acre minimum lot size zone in the nothing vicinity. This ties in with the previous item and will give something for nothing. Staff recommends approval of proposed zoning use permit as indicated in the staff report. We do have some construction plans that were provided by the applicant based on some requirements from ADOT. They may have some changes to the construction so that it would properly collapse if it were to fail, but otherwise location is still the same. So thank you.
John, isn't ADOT, aren't they planning some, I know you said something about construction, but I know they were also talking in a report that I read recently about doing some road improvements along 93 and from 40 down to
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure. They may have plans at this point.
it's not going to affect this, though.
There's a fairly wide right-of-way in there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That I think they'd be able to do any of their construction in
I
there.
just didn't know if there were some ingress, egress issues there, or whatever. Okay, any questions or comments?
I thought maybe there might be a pedestrian overpass right there.
Or wildlife.
For the
perhaps.
animals.
Or the hotel.
We have one speaker on this item, Jim Canellis. Thank you, Jim. Okay, we have no additional speakers. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The only comment I would make, I think in this particular case, because it is so close to the highway, that it may be worth going ahead and stating in here that this be a multi-use tower. I mean, assuming the commissioners agree with that.
Just put that in the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept staff recommendation with the addition of the multi-use tower provision.
Mr. Chairman? Let me ask the staff, is that gonna create any problem for this, application, or, I mean, in terms of like, constraints?
I'll let Ms. Ballard make a comment.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I wanted to point out that multi-use could mean many things, and not all of the multi-use candidates, shall we say, are compatible with cell phone coverage. So
laundry wouldn't be included.
no, laundry would not be included. No, there are some things that would interfere with the signals. So may I suggest that it say that they allow co-location of other carriers and other compatible
Uses.
frequencies or uses, yes.
Okay.
So we're not forcing them into a conflict with their signals.
Okay, Mr. Sherwood, could you
I can accept
redo your
that
motion, please?
modification. So I would make a recommendation to accept staff approval with the modification that Ms. Ballard just mentioned.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on item number 8. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 9.
Item 9 is an evaluation of request for zoning use permit on assessor's parcel number 317-55003 for a helicopter landing site in a C2H general commercial highway frontage zone in the White Hills vicinity. Staff recommends approval, subject to the conditions of the staff report. Thank you.
Is the applicant present? You want to address the commission, if you would, Kathy?
Like the marketing, customers with helicopter now.
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I'm acting as the owner's agent. On this particular item, I just wanted you to know of a couple of items. One of the requests from Unisource was to put up one of those orange markers on those overhead lines. And to date, we haven't found any requirements. It is well over 100 feet. We don't think it's a problem. And we're both going to rely upon FAA to tell us whether or not that's needed. So we're comfortable with that approach. In addition, I wanted the commission to please consider removing one of the items of approval, the view obscuring fence. It's just a standard condition for commercial, but it really isn't required here, and it would have to be really high anyway. So if you could please approve this without the requirement for a view obscuring fence, that would be good.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Kathy, my question has nothing to do with this. Is this
Perfect.
part of the marketing thing?
Perfect.
Yeah. Is this part of the marketing thing to bring the clients down from,
Yeah, he's got, the Heli USA is going to utilize that site, and they did start up, and they have another plan of action. They are doing some expansion into Arizona. They are the only helicopter service area that actually has offices and employees, in Arizona. Majority of them come in from Vegas. So, yes, he does plan to utilize this for expansion.
makes sense? Very smart.
Any additional questions of the speaker?
Mr. Chairman, the only question, does the staff have any objection about removal of that screening?
Commissioner's Army, Mr. Chairman, I would defer to Ms. Ballard on that issue.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the 27H requirement, or the requirement for a view obscuring fence, in cases where it's part of the ordinance, it's actually a statement in the ordinance that the board probably does not have the authority to waive. In this case, the view obscuring fence would be required in 2 situations, one of which is if there was some sort of open storage or the like on the property. The other is if the property abutted another zone or another use that was incompatible. It is possible, the fences are viewed at the site plan stage. It is possible for staff to swap out other types of view obscuring devices, such as vegetation berms and things like that, and we can take a look at that during the site plan stage.
Kathy, could you elaborate on that?
Well, there is an existing fence out there, but the idea of view obscuring, I know, is that the county would prefer block. They don't like the screen going across it or anything, or slats or anything, which would be standard. So this has a fence around it. And the idea that this condition could not be waived, I think I've done that before. I thought that was fairly standard, that we would address it. But all in all, I'm comfortable addressing it through the site plan, but there is a fence around there, and if the idea is to obscure a helicopter landing, that thing's gonna have to be too high. So that was my point. But I'm happy to work with staff.
Any additional questions? We have no more speakers. On item number 9.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Kathy.
Mr. Chairman, it makes sense because it's a helicopter landing, and there's no fence that you can do that, so I concur with the applicant. If there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion to approve with the deletion of that request by the staff.
Second.
We have a motion to approve item number 9. Motion and a second. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, we have one decline. Where are we at, John? Okay, all right, motion carries. Item 10.
Item 10 is an evaluation of a request for zoning use permit on assessor's parcel numbers 318-21-088A for a helicopter landing site in an RE residential recreation zone in the Grand Canyon West vicinity. Staff recommends approval of the proposed zoning use permit as indicated in the staff report. This is a site that previously had a zoning use permit for a helicopter landing site, and there are 5 existing pads on the property. The zoning use permit expired because the site plan was not filed, and this would reestablish that use. Thank you.
Okay.
We do have one letter requesting that this item be continued, and I believe there's a member in the audience who will speak to that. Thank you.
Is the applicant present? Would you like to address the commission again?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I am representing the owner in this. The owner is looking, well, first of all, the way I found this is I was reviewing the records and ownership issues, and unfortunately notified staff that the ZUP had expired, and we had no idea. The owner's been continuing to use it since 2002, and for whatever reason never filed a site plan, and it had expired. When I first looked at it, I brought it to the owner's attention. He said, you know, holy cow, get the thing fixed. Maybe we can move it to the south a little bit. So we had looked at doing that, but this is an existing site. We went back to just put it on the existing site, keep using it as it is so that there'd be no more outside, you know, issues with it. I am aware of the letter from the tribe asking for an extension of time on this. This particular site, the tribal property is not even within 300 feet at this point. I did contact the tribe, actually the Public Works Director, and found out that the Planning Director was not there. And so I was going to let him know about this. But anyways, this, I put on here, it's a renewal of a zoning use. John corrected me, it's not a renewal. It's a new application, but that site has continued to be used for 10 years. Again, this has a condition of a view obscuring fence. There is a ridge from Diamond Bar Road which separates the line of sight for this item. It's behind that ridge. I'd ask you please delete that view obscuring fence. There's no reason for it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to respond.
Okay, any questions of the speaker? Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Jack Earnhardt?
Hello, Planning Commission and community and staff. I'd like to show you some pictures. Telling me this works. I don't know if Kathy's been out to the site, but the site hasn't been used. In
Oh,
fact,
Jack, please state your name.
Jack Earhart. I am the planning and project manager for the tribal government's economic enterprise. And I just wanted to point out that I wasn't aware, and even as it never got to the economic development side to know what was going on here, and there's a tremendous amount of issues that need to be addressed. And again, it hasn't been used. In fact, there's trash all around it, there's broken buildings. I don't know if you can see these. And not aware of any site plan that had anything to do with the development where it could be shared with the tribe. The tribe has a very active airport out there with all the support systems, emergency equipment that's necessary to be first responders, and it would be only appropriate to delay this so that we could become familiar with what's going on. I'm pretty miffed that the county wouldn't have gotten hold of the tribe doing government to government. We have a great relationship with the county, but in this case, for some reason, and even though it's not 300 feet, it's across the street. And that, by any indication, should have sent off a sense of responsibility to contact the tribe. And again, you can see the trash that's out there. It just simply needs better management planning, and the tribe is, you know, a responsible government next door would appreciate you delay it so we could become involved. It's that simple. Thank you.
Just to correct something that you said, the tribe did get notification of this. Apparently you just didn't get the paperwork on it.
What evidence is that? Our planning department didn't get it.
I'm just saying the notice was sent out. I mean, you're within the range. I concurred with the staff.
Who did it go to?
Was certainly on your mailing list. Is that right, John?
Mr. Chairman, there was a letter sent out with the notification letters to surrounding property owners on this item. It was sent to the address, well, we're required to send our notices to the address as they're on the assessor's page, and that was the address that was used.
Okay.
Well, it'd be nice to, if the commission knew if somebody actually got it, not following some protocol where it wouldn't get to where it needs to go to, is my point.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Earhart, in this, like, you know, if we table this for like 30 days, what are you trying to accomplish within the 30 days?
Because we're absolute adjoining neighbors, and it would have an impact on flights, overflights, health and safety issues, management. Because what we see there is what I showed you, a piece of property with trash, and he hasn't been using it. So there's some claims that need to be straightened out, and then if we could just see what's going to happen with our neighbor and how it's going to impact us, that's what this whole process is about. So that's why we'd like to have the postponement to see exactly what's going on.
Okay, my question is like, what steps you're going to be taking? Are you considering like contacting a federal agency, or you're not just going to sit down and talk to each other? What exactly you're trying to accomplish?
I think I explained that we know nothing about what he's proposing to do, where his air flights are, what his safety management plan is his use compatible with our zoning that's adjacent to his? We don't have any information, and as a neighbor, we're certainly allowed to know that information. So that's what we want to do, is be able to review what's going on with a neighbor.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 30 days doesn't seem like a lot.
Any additional questions of the speaker?
Who wants to talk?
Huh?
I guess Kathy has.
Yeah, well,
comments.
I'll get to Kathy in a second. Rory? Thank you, Jack.
Sure. So I hand these in to you.
Han Kayek, Mohave County Planning and Zoning Commissioners and staff. Good morning. I share that greeting with you in Wallapai, which of course we're in Wallapai country. I'm the operations manager out of Grand Canyon West. My name is Rory Magenti. I was born and raised here in Mohave County, attended high school downtown, and we've been longtime residents and partners in tourism. And Mr. Earhart is absolutely right. We know nothing. In 2002, this was approved. I was actually here at the old P&Z, Mohave County Board of Supervisors building up on Bill when we addressed this very same issue. I oppose this basically because, one, we are doing an air impact study right now. We have approximately 220,000 planes and helicopters at Atlanta Grand Canyon West. We are a Class 2 airport. We do get FAA funding, and we have helicopters that operate in a manner that's dictated by the FAA as well as the tribe. Also, we deal with the national parks. So safety is a very #1 priority, not just for the tribe, but also for the air operators, as well as fixed wing operators. Our airport is maintained every day, 24/7. We have air rescue firefighting, EMTs response. We're the only airport to have that designation in Indian country. And as Kathy mentioned, we do a lot of business ourselves for Mohave County. We do $50 million worth of business here in Mohave County with our tourism organization. We have a good relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. We have a lot of employees that live in Dolan Springs, Meadview, as well as Kingman. I oppose this for one because I think we really need to look at what does this do for the air as far as the capacity, 1, 2, the routing, and 3, Mr. Turner already has Grand Canyon West Ranch where he's currently landing helicopters, so I'm not sure why he wants to have this property as another possible landing site. It really doesn't do him any benefit. He's already landing in Diamond Bar Road halfway up off of Pierce Ferry. So again, this is something that I oppose.
Okay. Most of the issues you brought up seem to me are FAA regulations, not whether it's a landing strip for you or a landing strip for somebody else or helipad. I'm just trying to figure out, you know what I'm talking about.
Mr. Chairman, right?
Yes.
You're the chairman?
Yes.
Forgive me. Nevertheless, 2 days ago, Monday, we had a bus on Diamond Bar Road, and they're grading, and of course we have a relationship with the County Roads Department. It is a county road. And one of the bus got hung up, and it tore off its brake line. The bus, the brakes locked, and it was engulfed in flames. We responded from our airport with our fire truck. We doused the fire. My point is, it's a county road. This is county land. This is private property that Mr. Turner owns. We really, if this is something that's going to happen, I agree with Jack. This needs to be thought through at the table. We need to look at the logistics, the response. We respond. I think it's 40 miles to Dolan, where the nearest fire truck service is. So, yeah, it's a FAA issue, but it's also a county issue, and we're talking about safety. We're talking about first and second responders. Mohave County Sheriff's Department did show up, but it took almost 45 minutes. So it's more than just an FAA issue, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you know, we're only here to discuss land issues, not emergency issues and FAA issues. You understand that? So.
I understand that, but I also agree that, you know, if you grant this, the landing issue becomes a safety FAA county issue, as well as our tourists, which we get a lot of international tourists.
But my point is, they have control over that. We do not.
But if you grant him this land request, then that's something that's a bigger issue as far as safety and air access control.
We're not on the same page. Okay. Any questions of the speaker? Any questions or comments? Okay, that's our. Kathy, do you want to come back up?
Thank you. We are on the same page. We both live in Mohave County. Thank you.
Yes, I know that. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Kathy Tackett Hicks. I just wanted to remind you that the condition of approval does indicate we'll comply with FAA. I have been out to that site. Jack's right, there is some trash piles out there. That was the original site of Grand Canyon Ranch. I don't want this to be any more than what it is. This has already been here existing. It has been used. It is not used on a daily basis, but it has been used. The owner was unaware that the zoning use had expired. I found it. He should not be penalized because we're trying to bring it up to speed here. And the county and the tribe is protected because it will follow FAA. It is not used daily, and it hasn't been for several years when they set up their diamond bar. So I would ask you, please approve this. And if they have any issues, I did send them the notification letter. My number's on there. I'm happy to speak with them if there's anything specific. I'm not trying to hide anything. But this site has been used. It is existing. And I would ask you, please approve it today.
You know, Jack brought up a interesting thing, which that I have to agree with him on, and I think anybody would, and that's the trash around there. If that's a helicopter pad, you know, helicopters basically lift everything up around them. Is there a plan to make sure that this area is kept free of debris so that if, whenever these helicopters do land, I mean, I understand that point of stuff flying around, and if they're not keeping the area clean, that is a safety issue.
Yeah,
That has nothing to do with what we're doing, but I'm just saying that's certainly something that needs to be addressed. That's all. Any questions of the speaker?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Sherwood.
Hello.
Hello.
Currently, these pads are not being used, is that correct?
Well, they are intermittently, but it was the owner's understanding that they had always been compliant because he processed a ZUP 10 years ago, and he just assumed it was good, and I came across the fact that it...
No, I understand that, but
Okay.
these pads aren't being used right now, right?
They are intermittently, yes. They can land helicopters in there, but they're not used daily. His main operation is 640 acres, about 3 miles west of this.
Okay. I'm aware of where the ranch is. I live in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's true, there is obscuring there. You can't see them. But my concern is, I don't understand why these are even here if they're being used intermittently and not at all, because as the chairman said, it is a dangerous area to land anything.
No, it's not dangerous. There's a hill on one side, and then there's a flat area, and it used to be the original base operations for the Grand Canyon Ranch. And the trash out there, I believe, is some of the old buildings and things that were out there, and it's not, they don't abut the helicopter landing sites, but they are back on this site. And so they do land there intermittently if they need to drop down for any reason, but it's not a day-to-day operation site, so.
What's the objection to the 30-day delay? I mean, I didn't really understand why they needed the 30 days. They just asked for it. They didn't say what they were going to try to accomplish. But I don't see how this would be penalizing the current operator there.
Well, we process things in a timely manner. I did let them know. My number is on the sheet, and I'm in agreement with them that we need to have health and safety issues, so they're one point of making sure that we have coordination with FAA. I agree, and it's in the conditions of approval. So I think that issue's been addressed. And I'm more than comfortable to speak with them if there's anything that's...
Over and above that.
Right, I don't...
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Any additional questions? Comments?
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The way I look at it, our commission's scope of work is the land use, and some of the items that were brought up, as you correctly suggested, was the FAA, and the applicant already committed to go ahead and clean up, the trash. The other thing is that I really do not know what exactly can be accomplished in 30 days. It's going to be just like, there's nothing can be done. In terms of the safety, those helicopters are going to be flying in. They have to be in the communication. There's a pattern. There is a direction. They always, fly all over. So I think that, it is within the right of the applicant to request, and we should comply with that. Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? If not, then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for a staff recommendation with the deletion of the fencing requirement.
I second.
We have a motion to approve item number 10 for staff recommendations. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 11.
Item 11 is an evaluation of request for a rezone of assessor's parcel number 324-02-603A from an R1 single-family residential zone to C1 neighborhood commercial for expansion of an existing church in the Kingman vicinity. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rezone as indicated in the staff report. Thank you.
Is the applicant present for item number 11? Okay, thank you. Would you like to address the commission or wait for questions? Okay, do we have any questions? We have no speakers on the item. Any questions of the applicant? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve item number 11 per staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to approve item number 11 per staff recommendations. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12.
Evaluation of a proposed amendment to the Mohave County Land Division Regulations as amended for the incorporated parts of Mohave County, Arizona, regarding the possible use of property escrow trust agreements as a standard form of assurance. Staff recommends approval of this item as outlined in the staff report.
All right, everybody understand what we're talking about here?
As a lawyer, yeah.
Well, it's a performance bond. It's got to do with building subdivisions and all that.
And stuff.
Well, it's a big topic. Yes, Chris.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, the department is coming forward and recommending that the land division regulations be amended to expand the options of pre-approved assurance documents or instruments that are available in the land division regulations themselves. At present, and just to explain how this kind of changes the mechanisms of getting a subdivision approved, if it's a pre-approved form of assurance, staff can go ahead and just kind of technically approve it once the county, or process it as approved once the county attorney has approved it as to form. And we actually do have pre-approved forms for these types of assurances as well. Right now, the only pre-approved form of assurance available in the land division regulation is an as-built process or a performance bond process. The performance bonds and the bonding houses that offer them are becoming more and more rare with the financial situation and some of the strain that, it's basically an insurance policy that some of the insurance and bonding houses have become under as a result of the current, as a result of the state of the economy as it's been really for the past 5 years. Those instruments are getting hard to obtain, difficult to obtain. Letters of credit sometimes can't be acquired.
No one wants to do those either.
Yeah, those are basically a loan. Those can't be acquired at any cost. So what we're attempting to do is expand the options available for assurances. Now, the assurances are put into place as a method for which Mohave County can go and acquire an asset and use the proceeds or use that asset to finish off the improvements. In a property escrow trust account, there is no exchange of assets or funds or any insurance policy. The county enters into an agreement where we actually can become a party to the trust, and it requires our signature to release any sales or any transfer of property that's not a bulk sale as would be defined by the Department of Real Estate. So the sale of a property to an individual lot owner cannot occur without our signature. We don't provide that signature. until such time of all improvements are done. So it's kind of a twist or a change on the, or actually, I'll say it's a twist or a variation of as-built. And as I said, we believe that expanding the options that the developers have available to them to add an option that is not a performance bond at this time is important to future subdivision proposals, as well as continued health of the ones we already have on our plate.
Question, in the past, because there are some subdivisions that we approved in the last 8 or 9 years for sure, those that put up performance bonds on those projects that were started but not completed, what has the county, what have they done on those?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, it truly depends upon a variety of factors. Whether or not we actually do have a distressed subdivision, or it basically is the subdivision making progress as would be expected by the land division regulations themselves, as well as the approvals given by the Board of Supervisors. Second of all, the advantage of a performance bond, it doesn't matter if the insurance policy, the premiums are paid. You know, you purchase that for a completion of a set of improvements. Right. If those improvements have not been completed in a timely manner, and if they're languishing, the county is actually, we've got a couple, yeah, we are the beneficiary, and we've got a couple that we're considering calling in at this point in time for those very reasons.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Chris, at this time, it seems like, the only method available is as-built. I don't believe that, the banks are not offering any bonds or anything like that. And as you know, in the past 2-3 years, a lot of regulations are just like the banking system. There's a lot of talks, but there's not much of an action. So my question is that, have you had any experience with any application that are coming forward with a different method of, presenting to you, like for the bond, except for as-built? Have you had any subdivisions before you that they suggested any other alternative? That's my question. The other thing is, have you communicated with any other community around to see what they're doing, in their thing? Because I've noticed that, for example, certain areas are getting some small movement, or not boom, I mean, but they say just construction going on.
Right. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we actually have not had a brand new preliminary plat submission in some time. Most of our activity right now with regard to assurances is trying to renew or reinstate assurances. And in most cases, in fact, to my knowledge, in all cases, they are actually looking for something like a property escrow trust account. We do allow performance bonds as a pre-approved type, and we'll even accept the letter of credit as an alternative assurance. Our take from not only the development community, but from the banks and the bonding houses themselves, is that these instruments have become scarce and so expensive that they're really they've become functionally not available. We have had discussions with other cities, towns, and counties across Arizona, and they're all finding the same thing. In fact, we did sit down at a workshop with those other communities, along with representatives from the bonding houses and the banks, and the concurrence was all the same as I described to you. And there are some counties that are looking to these property escrow trust accounts as being almost solely used, or I know Pima County either uses the property escrow trust accounts or a letter of credit. They will take nothing else. So these types of instruments are becoming more widely used across the state, the state and some communities almost solely going to this type of instrument.
Mr. Sherwood?
I think I fundamentally understand what is trying to be attempted here. Who gets to decide what parcels are placed in this trust? And my concern is shabby versus prime pieces being put into the trust.
Chairman, Commissioners, when this form of assurance is proposed, the developer or the project engineer work together to design a plan. If they're going to put all the lots into a property escrow trust agreement, county then reviews it. So we review the proposal before.
I can't hear her.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Is the
better?
microphone on?
Yeah, it's actually on.
You have to point it.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
Sorry. Okay. One more time. The developer and the project engineer turn in a proposal with the property escrow trust agreement showing what lots are going to be included in that property escrow trust agreement, and we review it before it's approved. So typically it's by phase. It's a phase of lots.
Right.
It looks like Chris has another comment.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, since this is a form of assurance, right? When the county receives a final plat where all the infrastructure required has not been completed, we're required to accept some form of assurance to ensure that prior to the lots being sold and occupied by an end user, that infrastructure is in place. When the subdivider submits to us a final plat, they will, as Sylvia says, submit to us a proposal for assurance. They can submit, that assurance has to cover all the lots in that phase. Now, it is possible for them to split the phase as far as performance or as-built in one area and a property escrow trust account in another area. What would determine that would not, in the way the county would look at it, and in the end, the board has final approval of this. If staff can't make it work on an administrative basis, what would be important to us would not be prime lots versus not prime lots, but how the infrastructure improvements themselves are scheduled and are being done. So when it's going to be based more on infrastructure as to how the lots are placed into that phasing and infrastructure are going to be the two determinants.
But the payment of that infrastructure is based upon the ability to sell these pieces of property. Okay. So in a bad economy, if these parcels can't be sold, how does the infrastructure get completed?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, liability accrues to the county only when there is an end user. So if the infrastructure cannot be built, if the subdivider does not follow through with the infrastructure, there are no end users. And so then the county has some options. If the market's looking good, if the prospects are looking good, the county can decide to leave things in place and see how they work out. If, for whatever reason, we don't think that the subdivision has a future, the Board of Supervisors can revoke the plat and revert the subdivision back to acreage. Subdivision just goes away. There are no end users to be damaged.
Question. Under these provisions, if the applicant, let's say he had to put up $1 million performance bond, just as a number, if he put that money into a CD and gave that to the county as the collateral, rather, because you can't get a performance bond anyway. So is that something that's also readily available to the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that type of asset is not a pre-approved form for Mohave County. So, the term readily available, I'd have to say probably not. However, the land division regulations do allow for alternative forms of assurance. And so if a subdivider proposed that particular route to the county, it would be placed in front of the Board of Supervisors and they could choose to accept that CD.
I know Maricopa County, they allow that. That's the reason why I was asking.
It's
Mr.
kind of a
Chairman?
fund in lieu of.
Yeah, well, basically, if they place $1 million, they're gonna get $1 million back. I mean, it's just like
That's
an
right.
old-fashioned credit card.
That's all it
You put
is.
$500, you get $500. So it is, right now, that my question was, is due to all the confusion and overloading the regulations. And I'm sure that, when Chris mentioned about meeting with those people who are specialized in bond, they were more confused than anybody else in terms of what's going on short-term and long-term. None of them have a clue what is going to be in the future. So I think that, the staff recommendation right now, it's going to be a small bridge for the time being, but yet the county is safe because the concern that Commissioner Sherwood had, until the final plat is recorded and the ADRE issues the public record, they cannot make a sale. And by that time, all the infrastructure, public works, and planning and zoning, they have to sign off on it. So it is not going to be much of a burden on the Mohave County. You're not going to see a situation like Valley Vista, example, in the future. So it would not be an issue. But again, I think at this time, understanding the current status of the economy, the only way to go ahead and proceed with the project is cash. To just proceed, pay as built, and the collateral for the land maybe provide, because as we're going to come out of this tsunami, I think that we're gonna see a lot of projects that are 10%, 20%, 50% completed, and maybe that would help that to lift and push forward.
That was going to be one of, excuse me.
Oh, excuse me. At one point, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, that this process still allows the recordation and the public report to be filed.
Right.
And reservations can be taken.
Right, sure.
But the final transfer of the property cannot occur.
Correct.
The only other comment I wanted to make on the money is the fact that it's more economical for someone to put up a CD than it is to buy a performance bond, because if you put up if the bonding company requires you to put up the cash, you still got to pay about a 3.5% fee on top of that, or more, and which is pretty standard, versus the applicant getting the half a point or whatever they're going to get on a jumbo CD or something like that, and it makes more sense to just put up the cash.
Mr. Chairman, on this particular point, staff, are there people coming forward now asking for this kind of thing?
Chairman, Commissioners, yes, there are. A majority of the developers and project engineers that I'm working with would like this form of assurance.
It's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Excuse me. Any more discussion? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve for staff recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion to approve item number 12. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 13.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Can I make it, I would just open it to the discussion?
Sure, we can do that.
Three or four of our commissioners are not here. Do you think it would be something that we want to discuss with them? It would be, I think respectful to have them involved in that. I'm okay with Mr. Sherwood's, suggestion and all that, but, there should be, I think, more discussion about it. And I think that I saw Mr. Taylor included some state mandate and state regulations, which I think other commissioners should be also involved. I just open it up to the commissions to
Well,
see what
I
they
have to agree. I prefer to have more in attendance than what we have today, so. Can we just continue this, Chris, and then, rather than reading and spending all the time doing that, can we just do that? Or do you want to read it in and then continue it? If that's what we do.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is an item on your agenda. I don't know if you have any public who would wish to speak on this. It's not a public hearing item, so it is up to the board or the commission whether or not you just want to continue it inform the public that might be here to speak on it, the time and date that you are continuing it to, or if you want to open it up and allow them to speak.
Okay.
I would like to
Then-
ask, because Commissioner Sherwood was the one who initiated this, I'd like for him to let us know what he thinks.
I would, my own personal preference is to move forward with it, and if there are speakers on it today, I'd like to hear them. And I do notice that it was an asterisk item, so I suspect that Mr. Taylor had some issues to talk to us about. So I would like to hear those.
Okay, well then, we'll go ahead and spend some time on this. Item number 13. Who's going to read that? Is that what we're talking about, Chris?
Mr. Chairman, item number 13 is discussion and possible action regarding the reinstatement of call to the public during the commission meetings.
Okay. All right, well then, let's bring our speakers up. Jim Canellis.
Thank you. My name is Jim Canellis. Would be in favor of you reinstating the call to the public. I stood at this podium a while back when you pulled it and disallowed the call to the public, and at that time I was against you doing that. I think the citizens of Mohave County have a right to stand in before this commission and explain to you what they think or what their concerns are in regards to P&Z. First Amendment right. Please, when it comes up for a vote, I urge you, I implore you to allow the citizens a few moments of your time to speak to you on the record. Thank you.
Mark Schaefer.
My name is Mark Shaver. Good morning, Commissioners, Ms. Ballard, staff. I'd like to thank those of you who have the courage to bring this back. You're showing true leadership and courage in the face of this. I also hope, sense a lot of hesitation in some of your voices about bringing this back, I would like to encourage you to please bring this back. And hopefully you'll send a message upstairs that maybe perhaps they should also lean towards that. I had a whole speech, but that all went out the window when I got up here, so just bring it back. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I just got a couple of comments before we get into a lot of discussion, because when we pulled the consent agenda, or the call to the public off of the agenda, it was primarily because for quite some time, we were getting a lot of people coming to call the public, and they were attacking people. They were calling us names. They were saying we were ineffective. I didn't particularly care for the mentality and people coming up with Pepto-Bismol and all kinds of other stuff. And so, and the topic was not on the Planning and Zoning Commission. It was on other stuff. And that, I believe, is why we pulled the call to the public. And if we do bring it back again, if that's the way that's going to go, then, you know, we'll have to see how that gets handled. So that's my 2 cents on why we actually removed call to the public. So if there's any other discussion.
I just have one comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
And that is basically I would rather err on the side of communication than no communication at all.
Mr. Sherwood, they could write letters. There's all kinds of ways to communicate, and getting up in front of a forum like this and calling us bad guys and all kinds of innuendos is not appropriate.
I truly agree with that.
Well, you weren't here, so you really don't know how
I
bad
do
it
remember
got.
the Pepto-Bismol.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
A couple of comments I have is that, you know, this commission is not a legislative body. It is basically reviewing an ordinance, which is only land use application. It has nothing to do with any other aspects of the county, and we cannot make a decision. We are just simply have to look at the agenda, the item on the agenda, match it with the ordinance. If it falls within that framework, then we make a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, as simple as that. So coming before us, as long as it is an issue about, the land use, about the planning and zoning, I believe that is the only thing that, would be applicable. And again, if there is an item on the agenda, they can write up and they can, come before us. If it is going to be a call to the public and they want to talk about the county buildings, about whatever else that they want to be, it's not in the jurisdiction of this commission. And again, I rephrase that, we are not a legislative. We are basically making recommendation to the Board of Supervisors. And again, those are the ones that are the decision makers because they're elected officials. We are not elected officials. So again, I really don't know what would be accomplished except for doing, just having them the couple of minutes, as Mr. Sherwood said, that, we can do that. But yet, if it's going to happen, again, I would like to have with some constraints that it would be land use, and somehow they need to let you know, as the chairman, what item they want to talk about to see if it is in order or it's not in order. But again, it is not fair to discuss more because I think we have other commissioners here that they need to get involved, and we need to seek legal part of it, which I read, and thank you, Mr. Taylor, for sending us the state mandate about, what exactly the scope of work is for us. So I think that is a very small, narrow scope of work that we have, and, I think that, I would just leave it for the next meeting if we are going to postpone it to further discuss this with other commissioners.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I concur with that.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to respond to that. If we could wait to the next meeting, who knows, there may be 2 or 3 more commissioners missing at that meeting as well, so it could continue on. I'd like to move forward with it. In response to Commissioner Zami, I appreciate what he was saying. Again, I'd rather err on the side of communication than no communication. And 2, I'm not quite sure that most people know how to get on the agenda with items. And so we have the ability, I think, with the call of the public, if there are in fact land use questions out there that haven't been agendatized yet, this is certainly a way for them to do that. We can say, and we can direct staff at that point to have that item placed on the following month's agenda or whatever. And so this is a way for that to happen.
All right, any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
We're done with public right now. We're trying to figure out what we're doing here.
One thing to bring up.
Sorry, Mark.
Mr. Schaefer hit the nail right on the head. He wants us to send a message upstairs to the Board of Supervisors, which is a big flaw in what you're doing. There's a little Facebook page that is the supervisor candidates are all threatening to change things, which is really going to be a good thing when they're all elected. And until then, this is not the right body. We're a land use body.
Right.
And we need to stick with what we do. At the time when we did away with call to the public, I think it was Mr. Sherwood and myself that voted to keep it. And I know the difference now in the attitude, and I was here for a couple of years of the other way, and I certainly understand what you said. Call to the public with us is I wouldn't say it's useless, but if you guys want to call to the public, go to the Board of Supervisors, get it back there. This is the wrong body.
Yep, and I agree with that. Got anything, Peter?
Basically, I agree. We're a body that deals with zoning issues only, and there's nothing that would come before us that we could do anything about it. So it'll be wasting our time and the residents.
Okay, let's have a motion to table or to approve.
I'll make a motion to table for 30 days. Hopefully we have more commissioners coming so we can discuss it in further detail.
Second.
We have a motion to continue for 30 days. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
No.
We're good?
3 to 2.
But that means we're coming back in
3-2.
30 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a roll call,
I
please,
thought we were
Mr.
just
Chairman.
done.
Let's do a roll call.
Done with it.
Well,
It's the wrong motion.
Commissioner Sherwood,
No.
Commissioner Morbido,
No.
Commissioner Azarmi,
yes.
Commissioner Coletta,
Yes.
Chairman Fluchet.
Yes.
Motion passes 3 to 2.
All right. I don't think we have anything else on the agenda today. Have a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman?
14.
Yeah, there's item 14 on the agenda.
Oh, that's why I didn't see it. Okay, item 14. What is it?
Mr. Chairman, item number 14 is discussion on establishing a date for dialogue with the attorney on roles and responsibilities of the commission.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The department was asked to put this on the agenda. The department provides some money for training for commissioners initially when they enter the board, or excuse me, enter the commission's realm. We try and send them to a boards and commissions workshop or training session that the Arizona Planning Association puts on every fall. Beyond that, we offer scant training programs, and it was requested that we put something together between the commission and the attorney, kind of as some reminders for those commissioners who've been to the boards and commissions training. And also, like everything else, land use and planning is not as a stagnant profession. It does evolve over time, and that also allow the attorney to bring the commission up on more current, bills that have been passed, case law that would affect how you conduct yourselves, et cetera. So we've just been asked to establish a date when the attorney and the commission can get together. It can be at the end of one of your regular sessions. It can also be, we still reserve this room for the following week in case the meetings go over or the commission wants to establish a workshop. So I've got my calendar up and ready to discuss dates.
I don't know. I'm good after our next meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I'd like to get a clarification on the last vote in item 13. Did we vote to tape
Say again?
on item number 13? Did we
Yes.
vote to table that for 30 days?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so it's coming up next month then?
Yes, it is.
What did you vote on?
Mr. Chairman, your next meeting is on April 11th.
Okay. Is everybody good for that?
Sure.
Or
Yeah.
when's that next planning meeting down in Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's Phoenix. I believe it's Flagstaff this
Okay.
year, actually. And usually Flagstaff, I don't have an exact date. I'll certainly get one this afternoon and email it to the commissioners. Usually if it's in Flagstaff, it's fairly early, September. They expect it to get cold there after that. But I will get you exact dates and email those to you. The dates have been set.
Okay, that's great. So we'll talk about this at the end of our meeting next month then.
Okay, one of the suggestions is that, actually, next month, we do expect the meeting to be longer than your meetings have been.
That's true.
And perhaps do a time set in the afternoon.
Okay,
If the commission breaks for lunch at 1 o'clock, do a time set at 2 or 2:30.
okay. Yeah, because it'll probably run that long. Everybody in agreement on that?
Sure.
Okay, then,
Do we have a motion on that?
any other comments, commissioners, monthly reports? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion we adjourn?
Second?
Those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you, Peter. I was looking for the numbers.